Oh, welcome. Welcome. Wow. I am super excited. Y'all, it's January 1st, a whole new year, 2025. And I am just excited for the very first childbirth and chai here on YouTube. If you follow me on any other platform, namely Instagram, I have done a live series there, and it was really my thought process and my goal to foster that same sense of community here on YouTube. So I am super excited to jump in at the start of the year to really get to know you, right? That is the whole purpose of this series, Childbirth and Chai. And just so we clear, like, I'm serious. I really chai tea has to be probably my favorite because of the spices. And so, yeah, I have it here on deck, ready to go. Listen, without further ado, if this is your first time joining me, my name is Stephanie Poole. I'm a certified doula and lactation consultant, and I help first-time moms prepare for birth. So here on this channel, we talk about pregnancy, we talk about birth, we talk about postpartum, and we talk about breastfeeding. So if any of those things are you find yourself interested in, wanting to learn about, and to help you prepare for birth, then you definitely want to subscribe to the channel. If you like going live, I want to get to know you. So definitely drop where you are watching from in the comments. And yeah, you're definitely going to want to stay tuned because I'm going to be going live very often all throughout the month of January to do just that, to get to know you. Now, if you watch any of my other videos, you know I like to jump right in. I like to pack it full of value and then get out of your way so you can live your day, so you can do what it is that you need to do in your life. I will not belabor the time. Let's just jump in today. Today, I am going to be talking about, and I have my trusty tablet here so I can definitely be sure to hit all of the notes, to hit all of the important factors. Today, we are going to be talking about the 3 foods that you can eat to boost your milk supply. Now, every time I go live, like I said, usually it's on Instagram, but today it's here. I always say this, and you'll probably hear me say it over and over again, and that is that I love talking about breast milk and breastfeeding. And then I feel like when I'm talking about pregnancy, I love talking about pregnancy. So, and postpartum, all the things. So is definitely one of my favorite topics, especially as a certified lactation consultant. If you have questions, definitely drop them in the comments below. I'll definitely be sure to answer all of the questions. And also let me know where you're watching from, because the whole point of this series, y'all, is for me to get to know you. So so definitely let me know where you are watching from. And you know what, before I hop into this, let me share a little bit about me. So I am based out of Detroit, Michigan. Are there any Michiganders on here? If so, definitely drop it in the comments. If not, I'd like to know where you're from. And y'all, I am in love with mint chocolate chip ice cream. So if you're an ice cream girly, that's me. I love to read. I have 2 kids, Xavier and Zola. I have an amazing husband, Tamar. So those are a few things about me. In this series, I'm going to be going live throughout the month of January. I want to get to know you. I want to know the women that I'm impacting with this information. If there's something that you want to know more about, leave it in the comments, because I'm going to be revisiting there and answering the questions and getting that content out to you. And I want to make sure that it's valuable. So let's go ahead and jump into today's topic, which is the 3 foods that you can eat in order to boost your milk supply. Now, I always feel whenever I'm asked to talk, always like to explain the basics of breastfeeding, because you have to understand that to understand the premise and the context of how this information is going to help you. So first off, if you've breastfed before or have any experience with breastfeeding, let me know in the comments. But essentially, breastfeeding works. You'll hear a lot of people in the professionals in the breastfeeding community say on supply and demand, but I am going to challenge that theory, and I like to flip it on its head. Instead of saying supply and demand, I want you to think of breastfeeding as demand and supply. Now you might ask, well, Stephanie, why are you changing it if everyone says supply and demand? Because it makes more sense this way. And here's why I like to say demand and supply. Because you naturally make milk, right? That once you're pregnant, once you give birth, there are certain hormones that kick off so that you can start that milk production. But in order to establish a healthy milk supply, the number one thing that you can do is to demand the milk. And the way that you demand milk production is by nursing your baby or pumping. Okay, that's key. You have to know that. You have to demand it, and then your body will supply it. So if that makes sense, definitely put some reaction at the bottom so I know that you understand what I'm saying. It's demand and supply. You have to demand the milk by either latching the baby and breastfeeding or pumping for the baby. Okay. Now that we've established that that is how your milk production works, the more you latch, the more you stimulate your breast, the more you put the baby to breast, the more you pump, that is going to encourage the milk production, right? Now, with that being the basis, it's important, and again, I have my notes here, it's important to understand that why would I need to breastfeed? Why do I need to boost my milk supply? Because when you have a good milk supply, right, you are providing the best nutrients for your baby, meaning the less you have to supplement. So if your milk supply is low, the baby still has to eat, right, guys? So the way that you would then make sure that the baby is getting what they need is always to offer your milk first. And then if there is a problem with your production or your supply, you would then supplement. But what we're trying to do today with this information is to hopefully help you to know how to get your milk supply up so that you don't necessarily have to supplement, right? Why do we always want to offer breast milk first? We want to offer your milk first because it is the optimal choice for human babies. Breast milk is literally it's like having a custom meal service. You are literally serving up the exact thing that your baby needs for growth and development. So that's why increasing your milk supply is so important, because of the nutrients, because of the antibodies, because of a healthy gut and immune system. All of that is super important when you talk about feeding your baby. Okay, so now that we know why it's important and we understand how breastfeeding works on demand and supply, then the first food that I want to talk about is oats and oatmeal. And the reason why that's so important is because of iron production. That's really important. If you have low iron, it will in fact affect your milk supply. That if you're low iron or anemic, or you have any of those health issues that causes a deficiency in iron, it can in fact affect your milk supply. And so eating oatmeal and really making that a staple in your diet will help to bring that deficiency up so that your milk production can definitely take off from there. Okay. So oatmeal is one of the ones, and it's because of the iron and iron deficiency. The second supplement that you can take, or food, is fenugreek. Now, you may or may not be familiar with that. If you're familiar with fenugreek, definitely put it in the comments below and let me know if you're familiar. A lot of the ways that people will consume fenugreek is with a tea, but you can also take it and put it into different recipes as well. And so you definitely want to take in the fenugreek. This will definitely help to boost that milk supply. And a lot of, well, I often get the question, well, when can I see an improvement in this? Taking it will usually, there's about a day or two, and then you'll start to see it pick up. So, you know, taking the oatmeal, taking fenugreek, and then the last suggestion is salmon. Having salmon. Now, I know everybody has a lot of different dietary needs, and a lot of people, you know, some people are vegan or vegetarian, so salmon may not be an issue, but you do have the other two suggestions, which is oatmeal and fenugreek. The salmon, why is that important for milk production? Because it's high in the omega-3s, and you need that. Now, let me also say this, because I didn't mention it in the beginning, which is these foods help you not to be deficient. And when you are not deficient, right, when you're at the highest optimal level, meaning your hydration is up, your levels are up of iron and omega-3s, you're able to fuel you and the baby. So here's another concept I think it's important to explain about breastfeeding and motherhood in general. This is just something you need to know if you're pregnant, if you're going to have a baby. You guys have probably heard you can't pour from an empty cup. That is the whole premise of breastfeeding. Your milk supply will be low if you're not fueling yourself well. Does that make sense? If it makes sense, definitely let me know in the comments. But essentially, if you are deficient in iron, if you are deficient in hydration, meaning you're dehydrated, if you're deficient in omega-3s, that will affect your milk supply. Why will that affect it? Because it takes a lot for your body to produce that milk, right? And in order for, and your body already has to support you, the mom, your health. And so in order for your body to be able to support you and the health of your baby, you have to be up here, right? So taking these in and really making sure that you are eating a well-balanced diet, making sure that you are properly hydrated. And let me say this, even after you give birth, I always recommend for my clients to continue with their prenatal vitamin because it helps you to level out some of the deficiencies that you may not necessarily be hitting every day in your diet, right? And so taking a very good prenatal vitamin, or just a multivitamin in general, and then including these 3 foods just as a starter. There's other things you can include as well, but these 3 foods will give you the basis to not just make milk for your baby, but it's going to support you, which in turn will help you to have the fuel you need for your body to make the breast milk. Now, how many of you know that, you know, when you are breastfeeding, you're burning a lot of calories, a lot of calories. And so in order for your body, right, that should be a trigger to let you know that your body is working, right, to make the milk for your baby. And so if you're burning these calories and your body is doing this work, that's why this food is so important. That's why getting those nutrients in is so important. Now, I know it's very popular on TikTok. It's very popular across a lot of social media channels to, have these tips and hacks for increasing your milk supply. And I'm not going to say that they don't work, right? But the key when you are breastfeeding is, number one, the mindset. It's not a sprint. This is a marathon. You have to have a good foundation for breast milk and breastfeeding in order for anything else to be added. If otherwise, let me explain to you what will happen if you just implement some short hack with drink lots of fluids and electrolytes, and that'll get your milk up. It will. You'll see a temporary bump, and then you'll fall back into a slump of low milk production. So we don't want that here. I'm a lactation consultant. I'm not going to, I tell my kids all the time, mommy is not going to steer you wrong, okay? And so as a professional in this industry, I'm not going to steer you wrong with a bunch of hacks. You can add all of that on top of what I'm telling you today, but you need the basis of good breastfeeding habits and behaviors to fuel your body and to increase your milk supply long term. So you're not going up and down with your supply. One week it's really good, then you fall off and you're struggling and feeling like you need to supplement. Or unfortunately, what happens is a lot of moms will quit breastfeeding. I see it. With my clients. And not just my clients, but I've actually had people who find out, like, I'm a doula and lactation consultant, and they will say, oh my gosh, I wish I would have known somebody like you, or, I wish we would have known about you earlier because I quit breastfeeding because I was having so many problems. And in reality, if you have this information right from the beginning, it kind of positions you for success long term. And the other perk of knowing this, I typically, my clients are first time moms. But this is information that you can take from pregnancy to pregnancy to pregnancy. And I always encourage you to share this information with a friend. Share, when you're out with your other mom friends, tell them this information or give them the link to this video so they can know it as well, because this is foundational things that you need to know if you plan to breastfeed. So with that being said, let me just kind of do a quick recap to make sure you understand. First of all, breastfeeding is demand and supply. You have to demand the milk by pumping or latching the baby. We prefer latching the baby first. I can do a whole nother live on why latching is important, but we prefer latching. And then if you're not able to latch the baby, to pump the baby, or to pump milk for the baby. Those are the two ways that you stimulate your breast, which will demand your milk production to continue or to increase based on what your schedule is, how often it is. There's no getting around that. If you just drink a lot of, some cocktail, right, that's popular on social media, you may see a short spike and then it's going to dip back off. Because if you are not pumping enough, or if you are not latching the baby enough, you are not sending that signal enough to your body to say, hey, I need more milk. My baby needs more milk. So that's the importance of stimulating your breast. As a matter of fact, we say 8 or more in 24. So newborn babies are eating a minimum of 8 times, whether it's formula or breast milk. So, you got to feed your baby because they demand it that much anyway. So you should, at a minimum, be feeding your baby Typically, newborns eat anywhere from 8 to 10 times a day. It could be a little bit less, it could be a little bit more, but typically a healthy newborn baby eats around that many times a day, which means that's how often you should be stimulating your breast. That's number one. That's number one. That's going to be the number one way to increase that milk supply. The more you tell your body, hey, my baby is hungry and needs more milk, the more milk it will make. Okay? So that's number one. The 3 foods we talked about was oatmeal, because that helps with the iron deficiency, fenugreek, and salmon. Okay? Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is I want you to take what you need and leave what you don't. So if you don't like oatmeal, check out the other 2. If you're vegan or vegetarian, X-nay on the salmon, pick up the other 2. I want you to take what you need and leave the rest, okay? The other thing I want you to remember is it does not have to be in a specific form. So you don't only have to eat oatmeal. Maybe you're not a fan of oatmeal, but you don't mind eating an oatmeal cookie. Get where I'm going with this? Or maybe you don't like the oatmeal cookie or the oatmeal, but you don't mind putting it in a smoothie. Okay? So I want you to start to take this information, and I really want you to figure out, can I use this information? What can I use? And how can I apply this to me? Okay? Same thing with the salmon, same thing with the fenugreek. You may not be a tea fan. So just take some and put it in. They have it in capsules. You can take that, or you can put it into certain ingredients when you're cooking. And then of course we talked about a prenatal vitamin. Definitely stay on the supplements that are going to help fuel you for success. Do I have any? I'm going to kind of pause a minute because I want to make sure I'm hitting everything on my notes. We talked about staying hydrated. Hydrated is all throughout all of my videos. If you go and look at any video that I have, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to mention something about hydration, especially in my week-to-week pregnancy guide. I talk about it a lot there. That's because it's very important from pregnancy all the way through to breastfeeding. There's some things that you just cannot get around. And so that is definitely one of them. Definitely make sure to be hydrated. We talked about how soon will you see the effects of some of these foods. It usually takes anywhere from 1 to 2, sometimes 3 days, but typically if you take it in a good amount in that first day, by the second, third day, you will start to see an increase in your milk production, especially if you are combining it with those, latching the baby often to give that signal off with your hormones. So in combination to that, drinking your water, taking your prenatal vitamin, you should definitely see an increase within just a few short days. We talked about, what if one of the ingredients you don't like? There's 3. You got to find something. You got to find something that you can bear and try to incorporate that into your diet. Another question that I get often is, how soon can you start to take these, foods? Can I take them even while I'm pregnant? And my answer is absolutely yes, because all of these are natural, number one, and they support pregnancy. And so you can start them to help support you during your pregnancy because of the iron, because of the omega-3s. And you can continue that all the way through to your postpartum period when you start to breastfeed. And they are helpful in that full capacity. So definitely keep that in mind. I'm just going to check here. I don't see any questions, and I'm not a long-winded person. I like to try and hop in real quick and give you the valuable information. I will say this. Over the course of January, I will be going live every single day at noon. So for childbirth and chai, we're here. We're going to talk. We're going to sip on our favorite drink. The whole purpose of this series is to get to know you, to be able to support you, to be able to answer questions that you have. And I really want to start the year off like that because I feel like it's important. I don't want to just make content just to put it out there. I want to really be able to give you something of value that you'll be able to take away and implement to help you prepare for birth, even if we never work together intimately through one of my services or my products. I still want you to have this information. That is the mission of my company. So be sure to tune in every day, except for Sundays. I'm taking Sundays off, guys. I do have a family. I do have a husband and kids that I like to try and check in with. So every day at noon, except for Sundays, I will be here giving you tidbits to help you prepare for birth. I do have the next topic. What are we talking about next? That is a good question. Y'all, did I write it down? I thought I wrote it. Okay. I'm not going to take up a lot of your time. You will see it on my channel. You'll be able to see what's coming on the next day. I'm going to post that here in just a few minutes, the next topic, so that you know what we're going to discuss tomorrow over tea. So without further ado, I wish you just all positive vibes. I wish you happy birthing, and I will see you tomorrow at noon. Bye.